what it used to be is that we had the power of motherhood. The power of motherhood taught us about femininity. It taught us about ourselves. And they were the first people that were able to influence us and how to be the best version of us. Unfortunately, today, and I don't like to focus on a lot of the problems in America, I like to focus on the solution. We've had the dissolution of the home. We've had the dissolution of the household. We have more single mothers in America than anywhere else. We have so many things. We have fathers that are incarcerated. I can go on and on and on about the problems, but it used to be like I was telling, well, before, my grandmother is 96 and she was married for 72 years. And so I had an example of what it looked like. And therefore, because I had an example of what it looked like, I was able to apply that. And I knew exactly what it was that I was looking for. And I knew exactly what it was that I wanted because I saw it, right? I saw my mom married. I saw my mother with her love mate. I saw her serve him. I saw her love him. But I also saw my father serve her. And I saw my father take her out on dates. And I never heard my parents argue. I heard my mom whisper to my father. I heard my mother protecting my dad, but not discriminating him or speaking ill of him behind closed doors. I saw my mother constantly tending to everyone's needs and him literally doting on her in such a way that my dad was my first love. And because I saw that, I understand that the formula is not as complicated because I had a background in which allowed me to see it. But today in America, we don't see that. We don't see how uncomplicated it could be. The one thing that I can tell you that worked for my grandmother and worked for my mom.
Journey, can I interject for a second before we?
One second. The one thing that I saw between both of them, and this is what they both did, and we don't do this no more, right? They would anticipate some of the issues that they would have and they would discuss them, right? So for example, what would it look like if we had children? What would it look like if our children were disrespectful? How do we want to raise our children? What would it look like if another woman came into your circle and you needed to avoid that? What would it look like if this situation happened? And so my grandparents, what they did, it's kind of like, you know how when we used to go back in school, they used to teach us about fire safety, and we always used to use drills in school. I don't know if you guys ever did that, but here in America, where I'm from, we used to always do drills. We did drills because we were preparing for what could happen. And if it did happen, we had the tools to be able to help us to overcome those things. So today, we don't give other people the tools that they need, our children, our grandchildren, that they would need to evolve in. So it's no different than having a fire drill. You are constantly evolving. You are constantly giving yourself the tools. You are constantly feeding your soul. You are constantly rediscovering yourself so that when it happens, you're prepared and you don't burn out. I'm sorry, go ahead, Char.
Okay, thank you, Journey. So again, while I agree with a lot of the things that you're saying, I think that you're speaking from a certain perspective, and it sounds like a very married one, and it's beautiful.
Yes,
It's a beautiful perspective, and there's also a hint of when I'm hearing some Christianity in there, biblical rhetoric in there, which is great, but not everyone comes from that vantage point. And again, the question that was posed was about how do we attract? I think that the formula that you speak of, which I don't know if that formula is specific to men and women or just people in general, but the formula that you speak of is in this context is very specific to commitment, an already committed situation. Right now, what we have are people who don't even have the tools, or who all of us who struggle to make that initial connection that leads to that type of commitment. Because of some of the issues that you named, there's a lot of obstacles in the way that does not make relating to one another initially, until we can get to the point where we can drop our guards, super simplistic and uncomplicated. No, as we can see, love and as you know, as someone who has been married, I have not been married, but as you know, love in and of itself can be complicated between two people, between a man and a woman, between a woman and a woman, between a man and a man. And love itself can be messy, and it's not always this straight, direct route to the promised land, so to speak. And there is work that is required in order to get to the place where you can really start on that solid ground and meet each other at eye level to be able to cultivate the type of dynamic in which that you're bringing up.